Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. For those of you that might not have seen my videos before, so I'm a local league sort of intermediate level table tennis player. I play in different leagues in and around the Manchester area, and then I've started to play a little bit more nationally now, so playing national tournaments, play in Senior British League, which is like the National Club League, and I'm doing everything that I can to try and improve. So I like to share my matches, my training, and I also like to do vlogs of all the tournaments that I play in, just trying to share as much information as I can. If it's helping me to improve, it'll help you guys to improve as well. So this is going to be a training vlog. I'm on my way down to Bats Table Tennis Centre, which is just outside of London. So quite a long way to go really for like a training camp, but I feel this one is going to be worth it because it's going to be with Sam Walker, who is the current England number 4. And then also with Matt Ware, who is the England number 28, so 2 top level players. So it should be really, really exciting actually. I'm hoping that this vlog will kind of serve 2 purposes. First of all, it should be quite interesting that it'll follow me throughout the day. You'll get to see what is involved in a training day. But I'm also hoping that you'll use this as almost like a reference manual. So you'll be able to come back to the video, you'll be able to pick out the specific drills that you're interested in or that you're going to get the most benefit from. You'll be able to obviously watch a demonstration by Sam and Matt. You'll be able to see the reasons why that they're doing the drill, to see what they're trying to work on, what they are like hoping to get out of it. And then you'll be able to take that away for yourself. You'll be able to work on these drills at home. And these are drills that Sam specifically works on himself. That's going to be one of the most interesting things about this day, is that it's not just a day where we're just kind of working through sort of like standard drills. It's going to be, you know, working on drills that Sam does himself through like a typical training day. This is going to be lots and lots of really, really good information. I hope that you'll enjoy it. Let's get stuck in.
Leave it all inside. It seems to dissipate when you're with me. It's never my fault, it's always in my
Matt is junior international. What else?
I'm senior.
And senior.
Not many caps.
And senior. Ware, one of the best coaches in this country, in my opinion, anyway. So yeah, it was really good to have Matt with us. So yeah, the idea of today was just I wanted to give you an idea of how we train as professionals and go through a few things that we would do on a daily basis. Matt maybe not as much anymore. And then hopefully sort of you can take from that a lot of things back with you and improve. And yeah, I think good day for it. I know it wind's a bit outside, but we're inside. So yeah, as I say, it's my first one, so hoping it's going to go well, but I'm sure it will. So yeah, as I say, we're waiting for a few more players to come, but we'll get started. Matt can go through a warm-up. As I say, feel free to ask any questions. I know a lot of you already, no problem. Just ask any questions that you want to ask throughout the day. And yeah, hope you all enjoy it and obviously learn from it too. Yeah, Matt can get you started on the ball.
Yeah, okay guys, so if you want to put your bats on the table then, we'll start having a nice easy jog to start off with, and then we can start building up the tempo.
Kind of day for me when I'm training for myself, because I'll cover a wide range of what we need for table tennis. So we usually start with a bit more footwork early on in the day, so we're going to do a little bit of that this morning, and as we go along building more up to service, receive and point playing towards the end. So as I say, with the idea of not keeping you too long, you just warmed up. The first exercise we're going to do, when you go back, obviously warm up first, forehand, backhand for 10 minutes, and then the first exercise we're going to do is forehand 3 points. So forehand from the forehand from middle, forehand from the backhand, and then again forehand middle, forehand from the forehand, and we're going to keep doing that. If you want, you can play backhand from the backhand as an option. If you want to make it a bit more difficult for yourselves, then obviously forehand. I'm a backhand player, I don't like doing forehand exercises, but I have to do it still. So I would advise trying to do that and challenging yourself a little bit. And if after a few minutes you want to then start to play backhand from the backhand, that's fine. So I'll just demo a couple and then I'll just go through a few of the important things on this exercise. The idea is to get a lot of balls on the table. Hopefully you'll be a little bit out of breath. As you can see I started a little bit slower. As I say, first point of the day, just so I can keep that consistency up, and I can always get faster as it goes on. But for me, the important thing, especially beforehand, one thing I was taught from one of the coaches I had in Germany, because when I moved out of Germany before I wasn't great, spent a lot of time trying to improve it. So the one thing that really resonated with me is the timing point. Sometimes I was very low, late timing, and then when I went out he told me to try and imagine I'm going to hit the ball at the tip of the triangle. So if I imagine my feet at the two bottom edges of the triangle, and if I was to put my hands together and make a point, that's where I want to try and contact the ball as much as I can. And obviously, trying to go from back to front rather than from down to up. So for me, they're the two most important things with the actual forehand shot. Second thing is giving myself enough space when I'm moving to be able to play the shot. And then trying to keep the ball on the table to start with, and as the exercise goes on, you can build up the quality, build up the speed, or not if you want to keep that same speed and a lot more balls on the table.
I think the important bit from Sam's point of view, well, when he's attacking with his forehands, especially on the third shot from the backhand side, there's so much room there. See so many people do this exercise, they sort of go, you see that back going that backwards angle, so when you're creating that much space, you can then lean forwards and then you also you can push off. As soon as you're getting closer to the table, it's deep, you're on the back foot, and you lose all momentum in that forehand. So creating space, so very, very tough exercise with footwork, but very good if you want to be a forehand dominant player like myself. That's why I use one backhand, you see.
So like Sam says, this is quite a tough, physically demanding exercise to start the day off. But I like the idea of doing the footwork exercises first of all, so that you warm up nicely, you're moving around properly, you get in a position to play the shots, and then you can work on sort of like other elements from there once you're able to move around correctly. Probably one of the most important things about this drill is to get in position for the third forehand. You can see here that I'm actually hitting a backhand a few times, but you can see there that I actually hit forehand from the from the backhand corner. That's the one that you've got to get out into position and be able to play it correctly. I think one of the main things that I actually got from this drill, which was from watching the demonstration that Sam did, is that I was just really impressed with like how well he stays in his posture. They do talk about this quite a lot throughout the day, but it's really important to stay nice and low, to have your weight forward, and also have your feet nice and wide. I noticed with Sam that, like as he was moving around, as he was increasing the speed, increasing the tempo, he still stays nice and low and he stays in his posture. So that is probably one of the most important things that I took away from this exercise.
Okay guys, so second exercise we're focusing on an irregular exercise. The first part of the exerise will be part irregular, part regular. Second part of the exercise, completely irregular. Okay, so the first bit is just a nice little warm up for the main day. Okay, so basically I'm going to be controlling my backhand. As Sam's a backhand player, so perfect exercise for him. So I can put 1, 2 or 3 balls into his backhand, then I put the ball to his middle. But of course he doesn't know how many backhands he's playing. After I put 1, 2 or 3 balls again to the backhand, and then go wide. Okay, so 1, 2 or 3 to the backhand, then to the middle, 1, 2 or 3 to the backhand, then wide. If anyone can guess what the second part is, it's 1, 2 or 3 to the backhand, and then middle or wide. There we go. That's the difficult bit, because Sam knows in the first set, he doesn't have to actually turn that much. Okay? Still going to turn, he doesn't have to move as such. In the second part, he might have to get that bigger move for the wide one. Okay? So the first part is, I wouldn't say it's easy, because a lot of people start going like that too early to get caught. The second part is definitely focusing on having that ability to transition quickly between your backhand and your forehand. Okay? One thing I would say here for this exercise is try to be nice and compact. There's no point playing massive backhands, you just won't have time to play that next shot, unless of course you're the person who's blocking and taking a step back. My job here, and everyone else's job, is to try and put a bit of pressure on the block, take a little bit earlier, get them into a slightly uncomfortable state on those exercises. Okay? Ready, Sam, for this one? This is your exercise. Question is, how many backhands do you play? Let's go. Apart from the last one, which I literally hit the white line, he was never really out of balance, was he? He was always balanced. Okay, the last one, of course, my block was a bit more brutal, but he was getting warmed up, so I had to push him a little bit. But yeah, for me, it's really good exercise just to see how Sam was moving for the middle one. Never felt himself leaning back or getting caught. So really important what Sam's going to watch out for. Here now some little cues to see where my block's going, yeah? Whether it's my shoulder, whether it's my hand or my back. Got to really watch out for this one. Okay, one more of those, eh? Pretty good. Just to show how we must on the floor. Anyway, so that's the first part. So Sam looks pretty comfortable there. Doesn't look like he's going to miss. So now we're going to the second part, the main event. Okay, so 1, 2, or 3, middle or wide on the forehand. Okay? Let's go. Very good. Yes.
I mean, again, when we first exercise, we spoke about giving space for the forehand. And it's the same thing here, you have to give yourself enough space on the middle ball, otherwise you get cramped there and you can't play the next shot. And I think the reason why we do the irregular exercises, obviously in the match we don't know where it's coming, but positioning is so important. If you can't get your positioning right in the rally, you don't stand much chance of winning points in the rally. So you come up against a player who can get 3 or 4 balls back, and all of a sudden you're out of position without them having to do too much. So I think the biggest thing I see in the pro side compared to the amateurs is definitely positioning is a lot better in the professional player, but again it's because of practice every day, we're playing all the time, and it's just about being on your toes a lot more, trying to stay on your toes in the right position with your knees bent, and then, as we were saying, giving yourself space, particularly on the forehands from the middle ball, and also when we move wide, we're not stretching too much. I know Matt got me stretching a couple of times and I lost the point. So even for us, we're getting out of position still because our opponents sometimes play a good shot. But we'll get out of position a lot less because we're not stretching as much. We're trying to keep our legs and our upper body together all the time. So we're keeping that position from here. If we're going from the backhand to wide, I'm trying to move both my legs to get out there as well as obviously my arm, rather than just stretching out with my arm and then my legs are coming following everything here after I've hit the shot. One, that shot's going to be less quality, and two, is when Matt did it to me in that exercise, I was nowhere to be seen for the second shot or for the shot after. So I think for me, positioning is such a big thing in table tennis, and it's not an easy thing to get right, it just takes a lot of practice. So that's why we do these exercises.
I think the last thing for me, going on from that, in terms of position, is the posture. The posture is so important for this exercise, especially, I would say, on the wide forehand. Many players tend to sort of lean back on the wide forehand. Of course, every time someone plays on the wide forehand there, he was able to recover back for the backhand nice and sharp. And I wasn't just getting the forehand on and going, I'm happy with that. He's recovering back, good posture. You know, we always get taught as a young kid having a good posture, you know. But table tennis is slightly different than that. You don't have a good posture like that. It's good table tennis posture, which is staying forward, shoulders going down, you know. That's a good table tennis posture in terms of recovery, keeping the timing, so it goes toe to toe with the position of the shot. So very tough exercise, but I'm going to try and see everyone getting through the first part fairly comfortably. Second part will be much, much harder. Of course, the blocker's point of view, don't always be too obvious when you're putting the ball there. Try and make it as difficult as possible, a bit of deception when you're blocking there. Don't try and make it too obvious. So you really try and push your opponent here to try and get the maximum out of their footwork they can.
So one of the things that really impressed me about this camp was the amount of time dedicated by both Sam and Matt to walk round, just watch what was going on and just to give a little bit of feedback as to how we can improve. So the first thing here that Sam notices is that my technique generally was good with the backhand, just wasn't accelerating my arm fast enough. So he was saying to not change anything really in terms of the actual motion itself, just to accelerate my arm just a little bit quicker, just to improve the quality. So one of the things that Sam picked up on here as well is that when I'm turning from the backhand to the forehand to actually play like a forehand drive, I'm dropping my shoulder down. This kind of goes back to something that I've been told so many times before, that I tend to drop my bat when I'm playing both a forehand and a backhand, but in particular a forehand, drop the bat low and then I lift the ball up. Now that's fine when you're playing against a backspin ball, but when you're playing against a topspin ball, which is obviously what's happening in this rally, then it needs to be straight back and through rather than low to high. So really trying to concentrate on keeping the bat a little bit higher and just turning the shoulders on a more level axis rather than dropping it down and lifting it up, just going straight back and through. I think this will really help me in the longer term. I think it'll make me a little bit more efficient with the strokes as well, because I think that the whole motion of going down and coming back up again, it can be a little bit too inconsistent. So it's just tightening the whole motion up and keeping it on a much more level plane. I think for me in particular, this type of drill where it's kind of like sort of semi-regular, semi-irregular, but it mainly focuses on the transition from forehand to backhand, is really important. The one thing that I do notice in matches is that the transition from the backhand to the forehand can be quite good, but then going back from the forehand to the backhand is where I really struggle. I tend to get a little bit too side on playing the forehand, so if I hit perhaps 2 or 3 forehands, then I have to hit a backhand, I'm just not in position to do it at all. So this is something that I'm really going to focus on, I think, over the next few months.
Yeah, so obviously we've done the regular stuff, we've done a bit of irregular, and now something, again, I would then typically now move into serve and receive. So the last 1.5 exercises before lunch, maybe 2 exercises, we're going to look around serve and receive, but where you know where the first ball's coming. So again, not totally irregular, so it's more around point play, but you know where that first ball's going to be coming, so you can really try and focus on those first 2 or 3 shots, which at the end of the day are the most important shots in table tennis: the serve, third ball attack, receive, and fourth ball if you're the receiver. Again, when we're playing, we always want to try and have an idea of what we're wanting to do with the serve and behind the serve. It's never always going to work out that way, but we want to try and have a plan. So for the first 5 minutes of this exercise, we're going to look at a backspin serve, short backspin serve, push to the backhand. I'll open up to Matt's backhand. Matt will block back to my backhand, and I'll play my backhand down the line, and then we'll play the point out. Hopefully. But then the second 5 minutes will be the same with the forehand. So Matt will push to my forehand, I open up across to Matt's forehand, he blocks to my forehand, I play that second ball down the line, and then we're playing the point out. So the idea here is that we're able to join the 2 ball, the third ball and the 5th ball attack together. So obviously it's a couple of different positions, from lifting the backspin ball to going over the next one, and I'm trying to change my positioning on the table as well, so that it's not too easy for Matt. So obviously First bit, I'll do the first one with the backhand, so first one across, and the second one down the line.
That's what you get. Oh, that's
Okay, so I mean, is there anything you want to say about this?
I just think this exercise is so important because the first two exercises we did there, everyone can look good doing that exercise. You know, when you're flowing, you're flying, and sometimes when you go to a tournament, you know you've got to play like that play, and you see them warm up like this. These guys are good. As soon as it goes into this, different story. You know, so in return, not everyone has the same ability as they would do in an exercise in footwork. So this is where it matters, you know, having the ability to open up with good spin on the backhand. Are you able to play that fifth ball in a good position for the next one? So this is now really important. What's the sound? Makes that backhand down the line look so easy, difficult shot. Once again, then the transition is important. And once you open up that first ball, having the ability to have the back up higher, whipping over the ball, taking it early, keeping the ball down, and of course, looking to try and recover after that. The transition from up and over, I think, is really important in this exercise here.
Yeah, again, that's the thing that. The reason why that matters and I make it look easy doing that is because my position is good on the first ball. So my head is still forwards, even though I'm having to get lower and I'm lifting up a little bit more, my head is still forwards and my weight is still going forwards. So for the next shot, when I don't need to get as low, my head is still in a good position and I'm able to then I just need to change my arm so I'm not too low, I'm higher so I'm more over the ball. My head stays in the right position, so that's where the control of this comes from for me, with my head and my shoulders behind the ball, and then obviously against backspin I should get a bit lower in my legs, and then against the second ball I can stay a little bit higher, I'm still in a good position with my knees bent, and then my head is still behind the ball, and so I'm following the ball, and following the shot with my arm and my head, and I'm staying forwards on those two shots. So I think that's the important thing, trying to stay forwards with the head. Obviously to lift that first one and then get over the second one.
And I think going on from that, from my point of view, I think the most important bit, the change between local league and maybe national level and international level, is that a lot of local league players be able to push, get a block, but then only block. You're having the transition from push, block, then counter like I did there. I'm a bit above local league, but not quite the Sam's level, but if you can make that transition, of course, you can then make it much higher for the opponent. So ideally, you don't really just go push, block, and then block. You want to try and, if you can, take it on. If you can get a perfect angle. But not saying you can't always block, because block's still important, but if you find the right timing, that counter should be the one that you're looking for when the person who's returning the ball.
I'm saying it before.
Hang on to the alive there.
But it's a similar principle on the forehand. I'm not as good at forehand as I am backhand, or as natural with forehand, but I'm still trying to keep, as much as I can, I'm trying to keep these shoulders and my head in the same position and going forwards. I'm trying not to drop my back too low on the forehand. You do need to drop it a little bit lower for the backspin to get that lift, but then I'm not dropping it right the way back down afterwards. I'm trying to keep it low, a little bit lower, and then still going forwards on the first one. And then for the second one, I'm trying to keep it higher so I can just go forwards. And ultimately, again, my thought process is I'm trying to keep my head in the same position and just adjust my legs, rather than adjusting my shoulders and my head to go down, put my upper body out of position, and just trying to recover each time.
So one of the observations that Sam made here was that I was leaning back a little bit on my open up, but then I was also having a tendency, as you can see here, just to kind of like leave my right leg forward and then pull my left leg back, rather than staying with them sort of like fairly evenly distributed, nice and level as well. think that by doing what I'm doing, by sort of like stepping in, it can add a little bit of sort of like weight transfer and a little bit of power, but you really need to be sort of square on just so that you can recover quickly. I think by having one foot in front of the other, it just slows down your recovery time afterwards. Then the second observation that he made is that after the initial open up, to remain aggressive. This is something that I've always tended to do, actually, is that if when I play a really, really good, positive first shot, I can be a little bit passive on the next ball. So that's what he was looking for. Rather than an aggressive open up and then a more passive kind of block or roll, it's aggressive open up followed by an aggressive drive, just to keep the pressure firmly on the opponent. Again, this is something that's absolutely fantastic and a great sort of viewpoint from somebody like Sam, who obviously plays against much better players. You can't afford to be passive, you can't let them back into the rally, you've got to put the pressure on and then keep them under pressure. So that's exactly it. See there, really, really nice open up. Get the initiative. There's a lovely technique there as well. But yeah, keep them under pressure. Once you've got them there, don't let them back out again. So I actually felt that both of these sets of drills were fantastic because, like Matt was saying in the demonstration, that it sort of like brings together 2 or 3 different types of shots all in one. As well, it's good practice, decent sort of backspin serve, good cross-court open up, then good drive down the line. You're having to go from lifting the ball to driving the ball forward. And then you obviously play the point out, so it practices so many different elements. Really, really good thing to work on. So again, Sam kind of comes back over and he's just reminded me again about just letting my right hand shoulder drop a little bit, which again is absolutely fine on the open up, but it's on the next ball. I'll make sure that I keep my shoulders level and I drive it forward. What you'll notice as the drill goes on after we've had this conversation with Sam is that I sort of try and correct it by keeping the bat nice and high. Feel for me that that's probably an easier thing to think about than the actual sort of like rotation in my shoulders. So by keeping the bat high, it automatically keeps my shoulders level.
Yeah, once again, when you do certain return drills, the reason why it's harder than as opposed to a footwork exercise in terms of the length of the rally is because there's more transition going on. Whether you're getting a backspin ball really heavy, you're going to hit a block early, whether there's not as much backspin on the ball. So it's forever changing. You're not always going to get the same sequence every single time, and also you could be changing in placement as well. So really a lot of things happening when you're focusing on certain return. Forever transitioning, forever changing, and that's why some players who look good when they practice don't adapt as well as when they do these kind of exercises. Okay, so some return, once again, very important for the game to go forward. So going on from that, the last sort of 20 minutes or so, we're going to start doing a little bit of some point building, basically. Okay, especially after your serve. And can you be effective after your serve winning points? Okay, so we did a little bit of work there on, of course, third and fifth ball attack. But that's because you knew where the ball was going to go. Okay, and likewise for the opponent as well. They know it's going to go across court down the line. We're now going to be a complete open exercise. You can do any serve you like, whether it's short, top spin, short back spin, long serve. Variation is key here, but the most important part is can you be effective after your serve? And the points we are trying to focus on is 3 points in a row. Can you win 3 points in a row on your serve and afterwards? If you win 3 points in a row on the serve, then great. You might have to play another ball after that, okay? So yeah, point building. If I'm serving against Sam and I win 3 points in a row, I get 1 big point, okay? If I get 2 in a row, and then Sam nicks a 3rd point, then he gets serves, and he's going to try and point build on his serves. It's only the servers that are actually trying to win the point here, okay? In terms of the big points. So once you break the serve, by badminton rules, you get your serve back, and you can start point building on your serve, okay? So if you're returning, get your serve back quickly, and then you can start to build. Now, there's going to be a lot more in terms of what play going on now. That's if you're clever enough. A lot more what going on. Focus on your opponent. tactical element. You know, what aren't they good at? What don't they like? You know, he's not got a very good backhand flick. Let's give him a short top spin serve to backhand. See how he deals with it. You know, all these things. This is what makes, I would say, from Sam's level, going to national level, to local league level. This is the main difference now. Can you put these little elements into your game? You know, tactical building, what they're good at. A lot of players only focus on themselves. You've got to always focus on what's at the end of the side of the table. Yeah, what are they good at? What can they do to make it life a bit harder for yourself? You know, changing it up. But remember, variation is very, very important here. I watch hundreds and hundreds of local league matches up and down the country throughout the year, and the most common thing you'll get. Same serve, same forehand. Same serve, same forehand. Variation is very key here. And the reason why I do the same serve and the same forehand is because they can't do anything else. But from what I've seen there, guys, we've got lots and lots of weapons. So you're going to use them now the right way, guys. Okay? So here we go. Point building against your opponent.
So this for me was like a really nice development of the earlier drills where we were doing serve and receive. But, you know, by kind of adding like a point building or, you know, slightly more random, more competitive element to your play immediately after having done a drill, it means that the drill and the little sort of like set plays are quite fresh in your mind, and it means that you actually start to think about that when you're playing 3 points. So I think it's really, really valuable exercise to do, because this did it, you know, it got me thinking about if I'm going to serve short, if he's going to push it to my forehand, then I want to try and open up cross court, and then I want to try and attack down the line. So, you know, it brought in immediately something in an exercise that I'd just done came into sort of free play. And I definitely think that that is how you will improve in your matches. It's always one of the most frustrating things that I tend to find is that, you know, you do really good stuff in the drills, and then when it comes to matches, you're just kind of like doing the same thing and you're making the same mistakes. So yeah, I would highly recommend this. You know, work on sort of set plays and then try and bring them into the free play immediately afterwards. Okay, so just come outside now for a spot of lunch. Sitting outside, weather's absolutely fantastic. Look at that. Too nice to be inside playing table tennis today, but it is what it is actually. It's been fantastic so far. Been really, really good. I think that I've not had an awful lot of chance to speak to Matt actually yet, but Sam, really, really nice lad. We've been having a really good chat just when we finished for lunch there about golf. He's just kind of got into playing a bit of golf and stuff, so been having a really, really good chat about that. But he's a really nice guy. Great watching him during the demonstrations as well. Like the quality of his shots is absolutely fantastic. So I do find that I feel like I learn a lot from these top players just purely from like watching them play a few shots. Just, you know, certain things like their you know, like the posture, the footwork, the like acceleration and everything into the shots is just like is absolutely fantastic. So great to watch that. I think what I'm really liking about this day as well is that rather than just being like a sort of like a typical training camp where you just sort of like work through certain standard drills, we're doing stuff that like you know Sam does on a regular basis as part of like his own training routine. So they are kind of structuring it like a standard training day for a professional, rather than just doing like, you know, drills for beginners and stuff. We're doing all the drills that he considers to be really, really important. And I think that's really nice actually. Yeah, it's been good as well. It's been hard work, but it's not been like crazy sort of tiring, so it's been quite nice. And then we've had a decent sort of break now for some lunch. I've just got myself a sandwich and some drinks, and then we're going to be getting back into it this afternoon. I think, yeah, again, so far it's been nice that we've focused on a few different things. We've looked at, you know, some like regular exercises where we've been able to concentrate on footwork, then sort of move into like irregular and then irregular exercises as well, so you're starting to put the pieces together. And then obviously we've been doing some sort of serve and receive work as well, so, you know, like a real nice mix of stuff. Yeah, so far so good. Let's get stuck into it this afternoon.
Okay guys, so moving on to the second half for today. The first exercise to start things off here, we're going to do a shared exercise, okay? Everyone should know what a shared exercise is. What's the main objective in a shared exercise?
Consistency.
Yeah. Is that just for yourself or? Absolutely. So working together here to try and get a good outcome, which is probably at least try and do it once or twice going through the exercise. Okay? So just recap what a shared exercise is. One person will attack, one person defends, controls. After a certain amount of shots, then that exercise changes in the actual rally. And I will go into attack, Sam will then go into control. Okay? So this exercise, I'm sure you've done it many times before, but maybe not as a shared exercise. This exercise is called backhand, middle, backhand, wide. Okay? So most of the times we do backhand, wide, you play your forehand, and you directly get back into attack again. This time, of course, once you do play your forehand wide, you're then going to go back into the blocking part. Okay? So it's actually a bit more concentration this one because you're going to do two things in one rally, attack and defend. Okay? So yeah, Sam's going to go first, I'm going to control. The difficult part people do with shared exercises is they actually attack the wrong shot. Okay, so once Sam's made backhand, forehand, I must block that ball from the wide shot, then I will start the exercise after that. A lot of people get the forehand, they try to rip it, and that's when it goes all over the place. So make sure you always block that last one. So how many times was that through? That is two each. Two. That was 2 times through the exercise. Okay? So 1 time through the exercise would be Sam making the 4 shots, I make the 4 shots. We did that twice. Okay? So technically it was 4, but that would be individual. Okay? So working together, and that is your target. Okay? Now what you'll find in this exercise is that it might not go to plan straight away. Okay? It might not gel so much, but your job here is to try and find that rhythm so you're both working as one to try and get the outcome here. Okay? And you should be looking to try and get, at minimum of 1 set per rally, but if not, try and get 2 there. Okay? We've just had an hour off. I've had a sandwich and we got to 2 straight away, so no excuses for anyone here. Okay? So yeah, just a key part for me here, of course, in the footwork exercise. This middle one, make sure you transfer over, pivot, keep the forehand position, not being too lazy on that one. And of course the wide ball, getting back, then going into the attacking mode, into your control mode.
So this is another one of those exercises where it definitely helps if you have a good, steady, consistent partner. But I thought that the drill itself was probably not the most exciting one to do, but it really helped in terms of, again, building consistency, like Matt was mentioning. As well, just the change to go from being slightly more attacking to defending, being a little bit more passive, and then again switching from that to being more aggressive, directly relates to match play. I think, again, it's one of those things that when you're practicing, if you want to improve, you've got to do certain drills that they may be a little bit boring, they may not be the most fun to do, can be a little bit monotonous at times, but this is how you get better. By building your consistency, building the technique correctly, you can then start to add power and speed and spin further down the line once you've got all the correct elements of the stroke. So this definitely helps that.
Yeah, so guys, so we're going to do a little exercise where I do a lot of these in my play still, and then my matches are still focused on this area quite a lot, and that is serving short to the opponent's forehand. As I spoke about Liam, picture the feeder event, serving to the guy's forehand. Was that guy very good at the short forehand? Even for him, he's like, around 100 level. He wasn't confident on that forehand, was he? Didn't know what to do. So he was trying so many things. In a way, that was correct for him, he was trying to find a way, but obviously the picture just loved it, so he kept on doing it. So yeah, obviously the difficult part with a short forehand is having the confidence to make a return. That's going to stop the opponent from not getting in. You know, so it's a really good exercise to try and focus on. So I'm going to use what we call a jab serve. Now, the jab serve can also be reverse pendulum or also backhand serve as well, because all those serves have the same thing in common, which are side spin, the same side spin. Yeah? Coming around the right hand side of the ball, as we're all right-handers here. First, let's do that. So yeah, I'm going to do a short jab serve to Sam's forehand. Now, I realise that not everyone has a jab serve, so if you want to do a reverse pendulum serve, you're welcome to, or if you want to do a standard backhand serve, you're welcome to. So why would I try and do that particular serve with that spin to the forehand? Absolutely. The spin will naturally deflect from their bat and it will come over to my forehand side. I'm not saying that in all cases that will happen, but especially when people maybe misread it and they reach there, they're not going to have the ability to change that angle straight away. So the spin will naturally deflect it to the forehand, which is perfect for the forehand player, of course, to look to try and get their forehand in position to land that third ball attack. Okay? Now, in hindsight, if this happens in a match, okay, you're batting against a forehand dominant player, you don't want to be feeding their forehand too much. Okay, so therefore you want to try and come against the spin a little bit, play down the line. But as you know, that does take a bit more feel, and to try and get that sort of touch on the ball, quite difficult to go to the forehand side. So my job here, short jab serve to the forehand. Sam's going to have two choices here. Okay, he's going to either push to my forehand, or he can decide to flick to my forehand. Either case, I'm going to try and see what he's going to go for, and then I'm going to try and make my third ball attack directly down the line. Okay? While working down the line, as opposed to a cross court here. Expecting cross court, don't get it over across here. Makes sense. Drag them all away, take them away, it's in my pocket. Okay? So are you backing or side? That's a good question. Good question. So this serve, especially, I would say at a lower level, most players feel comfortable with pushing me against backspin, so I would say that you have a bit of deception between backspin and a little bit of topspin as well. Okay, because not many people, as you know, flick that backspin with their forehand. I know Sam has a very, very good backhand flick, and I would say you always favour his backhand flick over his forehand flick every day of the week, Sam. So therefore, if I was playing against Sam, I would try and focus his area, but no, Sam would just come around and put it at the backhand. But that means if I start opening some more avenues into the wide backhand side, you know, so it really just tests. But yeah, for someone like Paul Drinker's point of view, his forehand flicks is one of the best in the world. So maybe against him, the technique will change a little bit. But anyway, so jab serve, you can decide if you want to do a short top, short back, and if the opponent gets it wrong, then push the topspin on all over it. So in a way, the returner has to make a decision on that shot. Okay? I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Sam might give you a bit of both between the push and the flick, and just see how I adapt to those different balls after that. Okay? But first of all, we keep it short is the important bit here. What did you do there? Can you see that? It was like in between a flick and a push. It was like a guide. But yeah, most importantly here, as Sam knows it's going to go to as he knows it's going to go down the line, I have to be fully prepared to play that backhand. You know, because if he gets there, take the time, should put pressure on, I guarantee you in the match, he's not just going to go there, is he, of course, he's going to go across the court. So, in a way, it's an easy exercise for the return, because I know it's going to go there, but of course, that relies on you having a good recovery after your forehand. Apart from the serve point of view here, because they know it's going to go into those two areas, they should be making good quality on return, you know. In a match, that won't be happening as much because in a match, I'll start sending some long serve over there, changing it up. But for this exercise, for example, really actually focusing on the return point of view, making better returns because we know it's going to happen. Just always be careful about bringing the spin to the serve, yeah? Don't always come with the push, try to really fix top spin, come over and flick it, but try and do different things with your short forehand ball here.
Yeah, I think a good thing to try and think about in this exercise as well, even though I'm playing as a receiver to match forehand, that means the whole forehand off. So I can still use the whole forehand half and try and maybe push him a bit wider, push him into the middle, still try and get him out of position a little bit, because it's also better practice for Matt rather than just thinking he's coming to the same place every time. And again, obviously with this receive, I'm trying to get my feet right under the table so I'm not reaching. The moment, really important with the forehand receive especially, it's going short. The moment I start to reach with my arm outstretched like this is the moment I lose the control of the shot. So I need to get my left leg and right leg under the table to get my head as close to the ball as I can. And then obviously, even though I'm pushing, a lot of people think, okay, that's a negative receive. But if I can push with more spin and more speed into a tough position from out on the table, it can actually be a positive receive if he gives me a weaker top spin. And then I can, like I did on the last one, and I can play really with my backhand. So again, even if you push it, it can still be a positive and aggressive push. So just try that while you're receiving as well, not just thinking, okay, it's Matt's exercise, so I'm just going to put the ball on the table. Really try and think as well, you know, placement in that forehand half, and also being a little bit more aggressive even with those pushes or with the blocks, and not just trying to put the ball on the table and feed to you.
So this exercise was beneficial to me on various different levels. First of all, it's a serve that I use quite often, actually, short to the forehand. I do tend to serve backspin though when I serve short to the forehand, so this gave me an opportunity just to mix it up a little bit and just see how the different types of spin would affect the returns that came back to me, meaning that I had to just change the way that I would attack that next ball. Then doing the second part of the exercise, which was me receiving the serve, was really good. It gave me an opportunity to practice my forehand flick and then also practice my forehand dig as well. I would still say that my receive short from the forehand side is sort of relatively poor, I think, especially in comparison to my main forehand. So this is an area that, again, I need to spend quite a lot of time working on and practicing just to try and get a little bit better.
So that was Matt's game. We now went with third ball attack. So now we move on to my game with the backhand. So this exercise will be 2-2 serves. The receiver, so the server serves short, mainly to the backhand sort of 2/3 area, and the receiver will backhand flick, and then we'll go backhand to backhand. And the person who flicks will change down the line and then play the point out through. And we'll go 2 serves each on this. So, practice it. So, if you're serving that, what are you looking for in this?
So, I think most of the time if I'm playing against Sam's backhand flick, I'm going to try and get more backspin on the serve to stop him from being a really powerful flick. But for this exercise, I'm actually trying to work on my kick. So, actually, I don't mind giving them top spin serve, just so I can get back quickly to get back in backhand rally. But very, very tough. You know, when you see that backhand come at you, and get the change so quickly, it's difficult to react and do anything with it. Most important for me when I do this switch is to try and get short movements. You don't want to have big movements, you lose the balance. Short movements and short technical forward. You haven't got time for that big swinging forehand, no chance. If I'm getting a block against Sam, absolutely, I'd be loving that, but as you can see, it's not really a block, it's really fast, pops in that line. So short movements, try and get a position, and then basically hope for the best pretty much.
Yeah, and I think for me, obviously I'm looking to be quite aggressive, or as aggressive as I can be on the flick. And when I say aggressive, that doesn't always mean super fast, super strong. Sometimes it means with good spin, keeping it low into a good place, and Matt's backhand says he can't play a strong shot on his next backhand. And then when we are playing the backhand, I'm using a lot of mat speed and spin. I'm not, if you watch our shots, we're back and backhand, we're not doing super big shots, we're not trying to play with loads of power. We're just using each other's spin and speed to keep the pace of the rally up. And then it's only a short shot for us both, which means we've not got massive, we've got more margin for error. So it's a lot safer than playing a big shot when there's so much speed and spin in the ball. And then when I'm changing, obviously I don't want to make it super obvious for Matt, so I'm not trying to change my whole body, I'm just changing the angle of my wrist. And because my shot is so short in the normal backhand to backhand rally, there's the deception there when I do change, because I'm only changing my wrist angle, I can do it so late and keep the shot still so short that it's still so hard for Matt to see when I do change. And I think that's the important thing here, is we're looking for that deception of the change. So we're not trying to go super big and super strong on these shots. We're just trying to keep it nice and short and sharp with a bit of top spin and a bit of kick. So then when we get that chance to change, Matt will struggle to see it.
The difficult part for me here, with Sam especially, is those making a very short technical backhand, it's the load of the spin. So if you're not getting over the ball enough, it's just gone, you know, so it's really important to try and get that thin connection. And I'm forever talking about thin connection at home when I'm coaching, getting that right connection. It doesn't come after a day, trust me. It takes a lot of skill and perfection to get that connection. But when you get it right, if people are a little bit stiff in the wrist, that's such a hard ball to receive, you know. And sometimes I actually prefer the powerful ones because I can just hold it. The short, spinny ones, they're actually the hard ones to deal with if you're a bit tight with the wrist. So just really try and relax the wrist, let it flow, and try and get that connection as loud as possible.
So this was one of the exercises that I did really enjoy, and I'm finding that, especially over like the last few months, that I've been practicing my backhand a little bit more, and it has been improving, that I'm actually enjoying the backhand exercises perhaps more than I would have done 12 or 18 months ago. You can see here that like for example there, you know, that was probably taking on board some of the advice from the exercise earlier on, where I was trying to be aggressive continually. Again, you know, definitely have a tendency to maybe be aggressive with one ball on the backhand, and then I can be a little bit passive after that. So, you know, again, you can see here the technique development is coming along quite nicely. I'm trying to keep my elbow a little bit higher and then drive my arm forward a little bit more, rather than dropping the bat down and lifting it up. The idea is keep the elbow as almost like a pivot point, keep that nice and high, and then I almost feel like I'm driving forward through the ball rather than the lifting motion. So this is starting to work really, really nice, and I'm definitely starting to feel more confident with it. I think it really is a case now I've just got to keep practicing and practicing until it can kind of come into my actual match play. But, you know, like I say, I feel so much better about my backhand than I did, you know, perhaps 18 months ago.
I think it's been a good day, and I hope you've all enjoyed it, first of all. And secondly, just hope you can take away from the day a little bit more than just, you know, forehands and backhands, and try and think a bit more the way that what we would when we're doing our training sessions, in the fact that whatever we're doing, we're always trying to work out tactically where we can win points, how we can do things a bit differently, and we're not just always thinking about technique. Obviously it's very important, and that's why we do those first few exercises that we did this morning. But also, I think Neil mentioned to me there, obviously he found out when he played Matt at the top table, everything so important for service and receive. And I think that is the most important part of table tennis. And yeah, just trying to figure your way out in matches, how you can win points. You know, even if you're not playing well, how can you still win points? And trying those different things. And if that doesn't start in practice, you know, you're going to struggle to do that then in matches as well. So I think that was sort of the point of today, trying to, you know, show you guys how we practice on a daily basis. And hopefully you've all should have hopefully taken something, at least something from today to go back and work on away from here. As I said at the start, I can't, you know, there's no magic wand to come in and say, you know, you're going to be better after today. But hopefully you've now got some of the knowledge to go away and work on some of those things to then get better. You know, it's a process throughout the whole time. I'm still trying to get better. Matt's still trying to get better, and even the top players, you know, Marlon, Lynch and Dong, they're all still trying to get better. Nobody's perfect, they're all still learning. So yeah, I hope you can take some stuff away and go home and work on some things from today. And like I said, yeah, I want to thank everyone for coming along. This was my first one. Hopefully do some more in the future. Like I say, I hope you've all enjoyed it as well as learned something.
As I was playing most players there was 3 comments that stood out for me, and the comment was, that hasn't happened to me so far. And that comment came from Claire and Neil. They both gave me a short serve before. I'm not too sure what happened before, and I did flip by forehand winner. So it just goes to show you that if you can read it and you can commit to it, it makes a big difference. Maybe the players who were playing it, maybe came in for the push, you got a shot. So at that higher level, they have more options apart from just pushing it back. So obviously you'll be sharp and you'll be decisive when you do that, but that's what stands out from the better players. On top of that, they do things that you don't expect, you know.
And again, that's the thing that we're saying, that there's always a level up, unless maybe you are Marlon where you are number 1 in the world, there's always a level higher, and there's always somebody that's going to be able to do something that you don't expect or that can get your best shot back. So at the end of the day, that's when you need to change something, even if you're playing to your strengths and it's not working. That's when in a match, okay, you might need to try something different. As we were talking about before, it's about being brave to try and do that in a match. But if you've not done that in practice, you won't be able to be brave enough to do that in a match. You know, it's the same for me, I'm sure it's the same for Matt. So yeah, just take those things away with you, if nothing else. Today.
Thanks to both of us.
Hi guys, so that is the day done. Absolutely fantastic and absolutely knackered as well. It's been a very sort of like intense, very long day. My legs are aching like no man's business. I think it's been a superb day. I think that yeah, I mean, obviously as you'll have seen throughout the video, there's loads and loads of really good stuff. I like doing these vlogs because not only is it good for me to obviously share things with you guys and you can kind of take it away and do some of these drills, but it's really good for me to look back over, because there's almost so much stuff there that there's no way that I'd kind of like be able to go back and reflect on it and remember like absolutely everything. So it's just good that I can I can watch it back, I can sort of see some of the stuff that I've done, and then like in 6 months time I can look back over it again when it's not quite as fresh in my mind. But yeah, I mean, I think a few of the main sort of things that I'll take away from today, there was like a really good point that Sam made about the timing point for a forehand, because I have a tendency to let the ball sort of drop. So he was saying in his explanation, he thinks of it as like a triangle. So it's like your feet are the bottom 2 points of a triangle, and then the third point is where you're actually contacting the ball, and that's going to be slightly in front of you. Whereas I think I let it almost go more to the side of me and the ball's dropped a little bit lower. I think that one of the things that Sam pointed out 2 or 3 times throughout various different drills is that I let my right shoulder dip down when I'm playing a forehand. And I think that that comes because I let the bat drop. So the bat drops, my shoulder drops, and that's fine against backspin, but then I'm also doing it against like a topspin ball. So he was really emphasizing to try and keep my shoulders more level and not tipping this way, which is something that like no one's really kind of mentioned that to me before. So that's definitely something that I think will help me in terms of the quality of the shot itself, but in a transition, so going from forehand to backhand, which I'm not particularly good at. But again, that dipping down here and then trying to turn for a backhand, I think that's that's one of the things that kind of hinders my progress really, and hinders the shot itself, is that I'm too slow because I'm having to make these little micro adjustments. I think that again a big thing was that I learned just from watching Sam and Matt do the drills, is that they stay nice and low, they stay in the posture as well. So I think one of the things that I definitely do is that as the rally goes on, and especially if I'm under a bit of pressure, I get taller and taller, and the like the technique is not quite so good. Sam, when he's playing a shot, and I mean the incredible thing really is that he talks about him being he's more of a backhand player than a forehand player, but I mean you look at his forehand and it's superb. So, you know, like when he's moving, when he's out of position, he's still down low and he's still playing the shot correctly. He's not flapping at it. And I think that's something that I really need to continually work on, is, you know, like making sure that I'm playing the shots correctly all the time and that I don't get lazy and I don't get sloppy. It's like getting yourself in position to play the shots and staying nice and low, staying in your posture. Again, when I play my backhands, I get taller and taller and taller. Some really, really good stuff there. When we were talking about flicking as well, you know, making sure that you get your foot right under the table, that you get your head nice and close to it, especially when you're playing like a forehand flick. So yeah, so like I said, loads and loads of really, really good stuff. I've really enjoyed it. I hope that you've enjoyed the vlog. I think one of the best things really is that, you know, this has been a day that's been structured, doing drills that Sam would normally do. These are not drills that he's just done, you know, to cater for various different levels. These are specific things that he would work on, and it's been structured in that sort of way. So, you know, very much gone from you know, footwork orientated drills to regular, then irregular drills, then onto you know, serve and receive and third ball attack, and then obviously then gone to more sort of like point building and thinking about the receives. And you know, again, this is something that I really need to focus on, is that, you know, it is when you're playing against better players, having a good forehand and a good backhand is almost completely useless if you can't get into a rally. So that's why, you know, serve and receive are so important, and this is going to be a real big focus of mine, I think, over this summer, is to, you know, keep working on this, you know, like forehand flick, backhand flick, touching, digging it hard, all these kind of things. This is so important, you know, because like I say, against a better level player, you know, there's no point in just stepping in and just doing a weak flick or a weak push, because the ball's going to be past you and you're going to be picking it up before you realise. So anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed it. You know, thank you very much for watching. Please, you know, like and subscribe to the channel. You know, lots more training videos coming out, lots of matches, lots of tournament vlogs, loads and loads of stuff planned. So I'll see you again soon.